All right. We'd like to get started again pretty soon. If everybody could have a seat. Tony, especially. Tony, Tony, are you going to eat lunch with me? Did you actually pay? Okay. First of all, I want to thank everybody that took the time to come tonight. I really appreciate that. I also know that when I do a radio interview with any of you, the 25 minutes is very quick. So to try and cram the subject matter into 10 minutes was an awful lot to ask. I appreciate you giving it the best shot that you could. What I'm going to do is first of all, I'd like to maybe get some feedback on some of the things that were talked about. Any of the suggestions that you thought could gain traction. And we don't have to go do this in order, but I don't think we're going to solve this problem one house at a time by replacing that 7 or 6% vacancy with a new owner-occupant anytime soon. So I think we're going to have a lot of properties that have to be financed by investors, and I really think the sooner the better. So what about some of the ideas that we brought up? I'd love to get some feedback, and I'd like to also figure out if it's worth doing, how do we implement it? Anybody want to go?
Bruce, I'll always say something if you give me the opportunity.
Okay.
One of your other suggestions, I think you probably did it with tongue in cheek, and that was that maybe we need to bulldoze several houses. And, well, I have the good fortune, or maybe it's not the good fortune, but our company, we travel to just about every major city in the United States selling homes. And when you travel throughout the United States in every major city, I can assure you we have a lot of homes in those cities that the community would be better off if they were bulldozed. So people don't realize that, but it's a fact. I'm a great believer. I always say, if we'll just tell the truth, it's never a bad idea. Homes that really, their value to everyone is zero. So if they were off the market and gone, that would be a good thing.
Okay.
I would argue that the issue isn't that your ideas are bad. It's the question is, how do you push the political forces that be in that particular direction? There's two big, I think, myths that have arisen out of this whole thing. The first myth, of course, is this mantra that somehow or other, if you own a house, you're complete, and if you rent, your life is a complete wash. All politicians say home ownership is this, dream, when the fact is I went through college and grad school renting, and I'm still normal, more or less. How do we, how do you move beyond that? And of course, the second thing is, don't forget that it's you investors. This is your fault.
That's right. We got blamed for this.
And how do you overcome that?
Well, what's interesting about the policies that we brought up is every one of them have been in force before. So nothing was new. Everything that I suggested has been there before and did its job, and then it got axed. We just want to say, how about re-implementing what worked before, and so we can get to the future as fast as possible.
As usual, when it comes to your suggestions, it's really difficult to argue with any of them individually because, unfortunately, you do your research, so they all make sense.
Unfortunately?
Unfortunately. Well, from an argument standpoint,
Okay.
How do you debate when you agree? Yes, I agree with you more. The challenge really, and just to emphasize something that Chris said, when we do our research, we find that the number of properties in foreclosure that are not owner-occupied really hasn't gone up that much, even from when we weren't at historic high levels of foreclosures.
Thank you.
So you're still looking at depending on the market, between 20 and 30% non-owner-occupied properties. And I think that the realtors would tell you that that's pretty typical of second homes and investment properties as a percentage. So the investors really aren't at fault. Everything you said would work, but they all nibble at the margins. The challenge we have as a collective society is that the problem is so big that we have to do this the way we would eat an elephant individually, which is one bite at a time. And I think everything you recommended is a bunch of little bites which will help. The other two kind of non-traditional things I've heard recently that make sense is there's a lot of involvement from nonprofits right now. Going into some of these distressed areas, you take a look at an organization like Habitat for Humanity.
Yes.
And now instead of going in and starting from scratch and building homes for people who want that first-time home ownership opportunity, they have a chance to get these homes at fire sale prices or almost nothing from the banks and rehab them. California, you can't do that. You can't do that in California because that type of housing, Section 8 housing, has to be new construction, can't be rehab for some of the same problems that you identified with your HUD story. But there's an opportunity for nonprofits to get involved. The other is we are now starting to get inquiries from serious investors, and I don't mean that as a disparagement to anybody here, but these are people coming in with funds worth $500 million, $1 billion, looking to buy pools of notes or pools of properties. And that tells me the market is getting closer to that bottom.
You know what I find distressing about that, since we're being honest here?
You don't have the pool?
I think we could, actually, but I'll tell you what. We got interviewed by Bloomberg News, and ever since then I've been getting called by Wall Street every day. You know what they want to know? They want to know where the bottom is. They think maybe I have a grasp on that. The same people that dreamed up mortgage-backed securities and nearly cost us our system are now putting together hedge funds for $1 billion to take advantage of the very houses they caused to be lost. I don't think I would like that to be a good solution. I think it's much better if you get a room full of these people times 10,000 across the country, and we'll solve it, keep it, and do a much better job of managing that inventory.
That's true.